Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another player interview series. I guess it's turning into a more permanent thing. I don't know. I feel like we're kind of going pretty fast on these, so we might slow down a little bit. But that said, we have got a very special guest today. Many of you will recognize this name instantly. And we have an absolute top competitor here from the heyday of UT's peak. I've got R0X sitting with me. Uh, let's have you introduce yourself a little bit. Tell some of the people about your experiences and your accolades. Who are you to these people?
I am Frank. My nickname is R0X. Played UT from the beginning, from 1999, December. It started with the demo game of UT on Morpheus. And I've been playing for a long time, playing against some of the biggest names in the history of the UT games, even against Fatality, who made a sidestep, won some tournaments, lost a lot of tournaments, been involved in the community, and that is or was me, actually, I think.
Okay. Well, you say was. I take it that you're not playing much of the game now these days, or at all. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's right. I'm not playing UT at the moment.
Okay, at the moment. Now, I know DVP is in the background punching a wall saying, I'm going to get this man to join the community again. So we will indulge his fantasies for a little bit and see if we can't get you on the other side. That said, I always ask this question, so I'm going to start here. What was your first memory of the game? Like, what was your first experience? Was it... where did you said you had the demo. Did you have it at home? Did you play it at a friend's house? Yeah, well, talk to me about that.
At home, not that fast of a PC. It was stuttering, so it was like a Pentium 200, and the game, I think the only map back then was Morpheus. Mm-hmm. So that's my first memory of the game. And then we went on a holiday in Christmas, and then we came back, and I think I had a game then after the holiday, but I needed to upgrade my PC as soon as possible. So that's basically my first real memory of the game. Mm. And actually the year thereafter, I also actually remember the first tournament I played in of the game, and it was a very local tournament in... I was living back then in the province Zeeland, which is not really crowded, and there was like a LAN party in the capital of the province, Middelburg, and I was 16, and there was apparently some tournament there, so I could drive with a friend's buddy and I could borrow his PC, and I started playing in the tournament, and I started winning, and after 3 matches. I was playing, and when the match was finished, I looked back, and there were like 10 guys behind me, and they were. One was mumbling, "From we thought you were cheating, so we came together with the group to see who the cheater was." But then they were watching while I played that game, and they actually saw I wasn't cheating, but they were saying like, "Oh, you're not cheating, you're actually good." Okay, never mind, bye.
So that's a fantastic
was my first
story.
tournament.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story. Did you feel then like it was just natural? Like, did you just naturally have affinity for the game? Did you struggle with it at any point in time? Did it always just like feel like it came naturally?
The game itself always felt naturally.
Okay.
I did have to learn during the years how to manage my stress levels in tournaments, important matches, all the build-up of tension. That is stuff which is not natural to me, but the game itself was very natural. I didn't feel good at that moment when playing with the people behind me. I just was playing, I was having fun. I wasn't actually thinking I am good. I was just doing my thing, and apparently I won.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I personally, just to relay a brief story for you, I did not have the same experience. I was terrible at this game for a very long time, probably way longer than would be healthy, but I just loved it so much that I just had to keep playing, and I just had that deterministic attitude. I will continue to do this until I am as good as these people who are beating me. And eventually, I gave up on that because I never got that good. Okay, so we are going to go on to the next set of questions I have here. You've briefly touched on your first tournament. What was the path from that first tournament to World Cyber Games? Because it's a really short timeline from what I understand. You're within the first couple of years of this game being out, you're one of the top players in the world, broadly speaking. Most people don't attain mastery of something that quickly. Was it just like countless grinding? I mean, you've already said the game felt natural to you. Talk to me about that journey.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess it felt natural to me. And what actually really helped was before Unreal Tournament, I played Team Fortress Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting about that game in regards to aiming, I don't know, maybe only the really old school gamers know it. If you were the sniper in Team Fortress Classic, you could see your ping because you were moving the red dot around, and the red dot was the when you had the sniper and you aim for something, you see the red dot, but when you moved your mouse, you see your actual ping. So I was always, I think because of that game, very very aware of there is always some delay. Mm-hmm. So where to aim? It was always. I think I actually learned it in another game, so that maybe gave me some sort of a head start. And after that LAN party in Zeeland, I actually quickly joined Extreme. Mm-hmm. And we were all young players, but a good match, and I think we made ourselves a lot better. I don't think I was grinding a lot these days because I was 16 or 17. I had school and I had soccer playing, all kinds of stuff. So I played as much as I could, but I still had a lot of other things as well. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was not grinding, I guess. It was a constant involvement in a lot of matches. So if I was playing 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 4 versus 4. We were always learning from each other. Mm-hmm. Of course, I played on free-for-all servers as well. But maybe more even the matches and practice matches.
Sure. Has team gameplay or 1v1 always drawn to you? Did you try CTF? Did you try Assault and the other game modes? Or was it just TDM?
Yeah, we tried CDF actually. In the beginning as Extreme, we tried CTF as well, mm-hmm. but we weren't that good in it. There were other teams who were much better. Yeah. So at some point we dropped it because it's with the translocator, it was a really different skill set or something. Mm-hmm. So less about aim, more about strategy, tactics, and that's we sucked in that.
Yeah, I people know me as a TDM player. I have played just a little bit of CTF here and there. I will fully give the CTF community their own credit. It is a different skill set. It's a different game, and there's a whole other dimension to it that TDM doesn't have. Now, there are things about TDM that CTF doesn't have. There's a lot more nuance to position within a specific map and timing of certain things and that kind of stuff. But it feels like you're, I don't know, chess versus 3D chess or something like that. I don't know. I'm failing my analogies.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
The question I have for you then is, okay, you've got this natural involvement going on. You've joined Extreme. You're building up and up and up toward this kind of bigger tournament. Did you play in other regional tournaments prior to Cyber Games? I assume there's qualifying, ClanBase, that kind of stuff.
Yes. So as a team, we played in ClanBase, of course. 1 or 2 or 3 cups before World Cyber Games came into the near future. So that's something I do remember. But I know we watched also a lot of demos of other matches and try to make ourselves better. So that was a team effort. And 1 versus 1 was actually something quite different. Mm-hmm. So for the World Cyber Games, when the qualifications showed up, it was in Holland sort of new. We played 1 versus 1, but not that much yet. Mm-hmm. But because of the qualifications and the pre-qualifications, a lot of Dutch people started playing and tried to compete there. So that is what before I mostly played TDM actually. I didn't play, I guess, that much 1v1 before World Cyber Games.
I know I've asked other people I've interviewed this, and they've had all basically said the Germans were the favorites. You had to watch out for the German players. They were always considered the best. Because you just said that in Holland the 1v1 scene really wasn't that active, do you feel like there were other players in Holland who you expected to do better than they did? Maybe names that we would be talking about now if they had kept it up? Who else did you look up to in that area?
Well, I'm not. It's a long time ago. Of
Sure.
course, we knew the World Cyber Games qualifications was in Almere, in the mayor. No, not of the mayor, of course, but of the local community house. Lauke was for sure someone who might get a ticket. Me, but also Panic and Dad. I think it was in my memory. It was just 4 players who had a shot at the three places.
Yeah.
I don't really remember other players who were good in 1v1. There were other players like Ralph, my clanmate, but he was always less good in 1v1.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I ask because I think it's one of those things that we take for granted. You know, we have these experiences and we think about the players that we play against, the people that we look up to, and then they end up not being that important in the big scheme of things, but because they were the ones who inspired us, they have a little personal significance for us. And I was just wondering if you had a shared similar experience that, you know, someone that you looked up to who maybe doesn't get the credit they deserve.
like that, yeah. No, actually, to be really honest, I don't think I have something like that. Never had it.
When you're the best,
And it's
what do you need?
I'm the best. I was looking in the mirror a lot.
Looking in the mirror. Yeah.
No, actually, no. I always knew that Lauke was extremely good, better than me, but sometimes we were close. But for the rest, I never really looked up to someone. I did watch a lot of demos, but it was of very different players with different playstyles. So I wasn't specifically looking at only Gits' demos. I was looking at everyone's demos to learn from them. So I was learning from, I guess, from a lot of people, not just from looking up to one, but I was impressed by several people, actually,
Yeah,
I think.
I had a
I
similar
remember
approach.
back in the time that, for example, I think Locutus or Flocutus, he was having a very different keyboard and mouse setup. He was walking with his mouse buttons. His mouse buttons were walking, and that was, for me, that was really impressive and crazy and a little bit stupid. But I was impressed. I mean, why? But he made it work.
I read his UT Bible that he put together, and it actually was
Yeah, and the Bible, of course, I read as well.
it was hugely useful for me. It taught me so many things about the game. I read that thing back and forth multiple times, and like I learned the maximum damage of weapons and timings on things. So much how many units your character moves in the game in a certain time frame, and why you have the right angle for dodging, all that stuff. I absorbed it. So yeah, shout out to him for sure. But I think one of the things I do want to ask you about Gits. Obviously, he's big name, and you have this relationship with him, and you've played against him many times. Just give me some highlights. What are your favorite Git stories that you want to share, since we're on the subject?
Favorite kid stories. He was dancing a little bit weird at World Cyber Games 2002 ending party.
Love it.
And it's long. I have to think. I don't know. Gits was usually a quite normal guy, actually.
Okay.
So he wasn't doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
No. I mean, I guess I meant more specifically in the game. What were some of your big moments with
the game?
Yeah. But the fact that he's a weird dancer is great.
But if he was going to do a 180 turn, he would be rowing 7 or 8 times before he did a 180 turn. That was always funny. But for him it worked really, really well. But it gave him very clear advantages. He could maximize his mouse sensitivity, his extremely low mouse sensitivity. He could be perfect in it, but we knew, and I knew he had disadvantages because of it on short range.
Yeah, you had to get close.
And,
you had to stay right behind him.
And I think even I think maybe it was not in UT99, but maybe in later years you had Bernie, which is part of his team. At some point, he had even lower mouse sensitivity, I think. But that was always a bit crazy.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Skip about this recently, and he kind of set me on the right path to make sure that I had my mouse sensitivity set the way that felt appropriate. He is an advocate of everyone lowering their mouse sensitivity more than they think they should. Anyway, so I wanted to ask about Gits specifically because you've got this experience that I think a lot of people find a little bit rare. Right? We, as the general public playing this game, looked up to some of you guys as the top players in the world and competing in the World Cyber Games and all that kind of stuff. I remember watching, frag videos and going out and downloading the demos and seeing if I could play back and seeing these things at the time and just being so impressed and so amazed by it. And so thank you for sharing that relation story, and thank you for sharing that. I've talked about this a couple times with some of the other players, and obviously you haven't played in a while, but I do think it would be worth you trying the game out only for this reason. I am convinced that the average player is much better now than the average player then, for sure, and even some of the top players then. And part of that is because we have 25 years of experience, and we know all of the tricks, we know all the little ins and outs. But another big part of this is PCs, the internet. Everything has gotten so much better. It's so much easier to run the game really, really smoothly now, even on really high graphical settings. What were some of your go-to tricks in the day? What was, did you tweak your video settings? Did you, all that kind of stuff? It just seemed like it was such a minefield at the time that everyone was trying to get every little advantage. Did you participate in that?
Yeah, sure. But can I also come back to your previous statement, because that is a really interesting point. Are players in the past worse or better or the same as today? But the thing is, of course, you were mentioning 25 years of experience, and of course, I'm actually interested to see if because if how much my reflexes have been degrading, because it's very specifically an age thing. It's also something in my job which is a very interesting subject. So to which level can experience mitigate the less past reflexes?
Yeah.
And it's very interesting where the counterpoint is. I do know.
Go ahead.
I do have sorry. So in World Cyber Games 2002, there was a South Korean player who was actually really good. He was already 30, I think, but he was very good back at the time. We were all much younger.
Yeah,
it's very interesting to think about that. Yeah.
I only bring it up because for a long time, I remember people being like, "Oh, you don't understand. Gits is so good. R0X is so good. You're never going to beat these people. You're never going to beat them." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, maybe if we were to stay at that time frame, but like the reality is the nature of the game itself has changed, right?" Back in the time frame when you were playing this game, of course, the minigun was one of the strongest weapons you could use, and you would focus on that all the time. And part of that is because who had the best tracking? If you had a really high frame rate, it was easier to track people, and that was a PC-related issue, right? Now, everyone can get 700 frames a second if they need to, right? Like, that's not the hard part anymore. And so it opens up the game to a lot of other different play styles. And now the problem that we're having is because PCs and the internet has evolved so much, we're starting to have to rethink how we balance the weapons, because the game was not designed for the modern internet. And hit scan is insanely powerful. Shock combos do so much damage that you have to kind of think about these things now. We in the North American community, we have nerfed the Enforcer 2 or 3 times already because it's so easy to land multiple shots very, very quickly and knock someone out across the map with the starting gun. The game has changed, and I think that that's a very interesting thing to keep in mind when comparing modern players to old players. Anyway.
It was in that, but we did some tweaking back then. In my memory, actually, the PCs, at least of all of most of the competitive players back then, were good enough to run it for at least 60 frames per second. Players just played with lower resolutions and stuff, but the thing what did really play a big role was internet. And specifically players like Lauke, actually, who was playing on ISDN, he had a clear disadvantage compared to players on cable. And it was not just the ping, it was also the bandwidth, something. So that really made a difference. Yeah,
it's a huge difference. And I think that now that the playing field is much more level, globally speaking, right? Most people playing in their region are sub 60 ping, right? That's very different from when the game came out. And, now we have really good ping compensation, and we've got DVP coming into the North American communities, and he pings 105 across the planet. Like, that's a massive, massive improvement. So it's really opening up some interesting competition. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about your early days of the game. I do want to touch on some of the World Cyber Game stuff. You've mentioned it a few times. What are your big moments? What are the things that you're always going to have in your back pocket that you remember, what a great experience that was? Tell me a story.
So World Cyber Games 2002 was the first one I attended in South Korea in December, I think. And I was going there with Lauke and Dad as Dutch players. And in 1 versus 1, I was actually doing quite well initially. And let me think. So we had this South Korean player, which was really good, but I won of him. And then I do remember he started crying because he was really happy to participate. But it really, for me, that was oh wow, he's actually crying. So he had really spent a lot of time in the game. For me, that was an eye opener. I didn't take it that serious yet. I guess I wasn't that serious into the game. That I was, of course, I wanted to win, and of course, I trained a lot, and of course, I was hyped up. But there were players who were even more involved into this game. And then I played against Lauke in the 1v1, and I lost. But there was a little bit of luck involved from his part, with a headshot with the ripper around the corner, something like that. So I do remember that as I do remember that as a frustrating moment. But then I came into the losers bracket when I lost of Lauke, and I played against Zen. It was the French player who was actually really good. He was winning everything, but I had luck with the map choice, Turbine, and that map I remember I crushed him. But I didn't expect it, so I was really low in my expectations. And for me, that match is really into my mind because I could stay calm. That was the first match that World Cyber Games I actually had my stress levels in order, so I could actually play the game in full concentration in my zone instead of being worried about other stuff, about losing, worried about this, worried about that, being nervous. So for me, I was in the zone in that game, and I won, and that was really felt really good. And then I had to play Gits on deck 16, and I knew, this ain't gonna happen. So I ended up being fourth. Actually, I think I'm mistaken. This is the World Cyber Games 2002, but I also attended World Cyber Games 2001. So the Zen part and the Lauke part is for 2002, but against the Korean player is actually 2001. Sorry,
okay.
It's a long time ago.
It's your history, man.
But so that's. That was really nice. World Cyber Games 2003 with Euro Tournament 2003. Do you want to go there as well already?
Yeah. I mean, it was the next topic of discussion anyway. Some of the other games that you've played. Let's talk about your history.
Yeah. So UT 2003, when it first came out, I think as a team, as Extreme, we were in the beginning more or less unbeatable. We were winning really everything, and in 1 versus 1 online, I was really good. So when there was first the eSports World Cup in Poitiers in 2004, then I was actually seeded number 1. Seed number 2 was Fatality. But in that tournament, I wasn't online. I won everything, but in the tournament, I had my tension again. I was annoyed by the table who was too high. I was annoyed by the monitor who was too small. So I let myself be off. I couldn't play in the zone because I was making it too difficult for myself. So for me, it was a really wise lesson. And then I had a tournament in Bilbao in Spain, and there I lost a lot as well. And then I got tired of the game, and I quit playing UT 2003. So I didn't participate in World Cyber Games 2003. But then in the World Tournament 2004, I picked it up again, and then I played in San Francisco in 2004.
Yeah, that's great. I want to get your thoughts on this because I've had this conversation, a bit of a debate with a couple people in the North American scene. I have always argued that the computer, the setup, the desk, all that stuff is not as important as people make it out to be. Because when you're a kid, when we all first started playing this game, most of us had terrible computers, awful mice, all that stuff, and that's how we got good at the game. And so if we got good at the game using these awful things, clearly the things weren't the problem, you know what I mean? Furthermore,
Yes.
you get yourself into a situation where you go to this international tournament and now you're like, the desk isn't the right height, the monitor's too small, all of this stuff. If you took a much more, whatever, I'll play on anything. If you change out your components and you don't stick to rigidity in that way, you become a more flexible, dynamic person, and you can handle those situations a little bit better. Now, that's very easy for me to say. I've never competed at that level, so maybe I'm full of shit, and it's fine. But it just makes sense to me.
It's actually true. If I could say something to my 25-year-old younger self, I would say, don't be stupid, just play and don't whine. And then I would have been a better player in some matches. It wasn't always the case, but in the Esports World Cup in 2003, it was the case. I made it too hard on myself by all the little stuff.
Yeah. We all have lessons to learn. Okay, so you touched on 2K3, 2K4. I assume that you have at least tried out the other Unreal Tournament games, UT3 and then the UT4 Alpha?
Yes, I actually did. UT3 is already also a long time ago, but it wasn't really played back then. And UT4 I played the demo, but it was when I played it was only one map. I didn't like the map too much. The weapons were okay, but somehow I didn't like the map or something. So
Excuse me, I'm chugging down water. We're both drinking, talking a lot. Did you try your hand at games outside of the Unreal Tournament series in a competitive nature at all?
Yes and no. I wouldn't. Yeah, you could call it competitive. I played StarCraft 2. I was in the Master League once, so I wasn't that bad in it. But I never really played it in real tournaments. I just played it online. And the thing that I hit the ceiling when I'm left-handed, and I played StarCraft 2 with the right-handed keyboard setup, and that actually works until a certain skill level, and then with the Terrans my hands clutter up, and then I had to start learning a whole new keyboard layout, and then I gave up because it was already too much in my fingers.
Sure.
But I did play that. I played some PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds in a small clan, but not really tournaments or something.
Yeah, just casual.
Casual. Yeah.
So I mean, that's it though. No. You never caught the WoW virus. You never tried out other games. Just a handful of things.
Yeah, I've played a lot of Battlefield, but only casual stuff. But I played a lot of Battlefield and some other stuff like
I ask because I find that the more I talk to people and the more I kind of talk about gaming and the role that it plays in people's lives, I find that some people view it in a very limited way. They say, oh, you do that to a certain age and then you stop. And other people seem to approach it much more like it is utilitarian in that, no, gaming keeps my mind sharp. It keeps my reflexes sharp. And because of that, I always want to do it. And so I will always participate in it. And I was wondering, since you're not playing the game currently, if it was the kind of, you had the former school of thought, or if you had an approach to this at all. What are your thoughts on it in general? Do you think it is something that is a life pursuit for you, or is it something that you'll give up someday?
No, for me it's a life pursuit, but it's for me it's two-sided. So the gaming, the casual gaming, like Battlefield, for me is like relaxing, to keep your mind clear and keep your reflexes sharp. So it really gives a sense of satisfaction in a way. But the other side is competitive. I like winning, losing, and stuff. So that is something I like, but you can also do that in physical sports.
Yeah.
So that's something I also really like to play some other types of matches. I'm playing table tennis with a friend of mine, and it's short games, winning, losing. I like, or board games as well. So if winning, losing, everything with winning and losing is fun for me.
So you're a competitive person by nature.
Yes, yes, very much.
For sure. Well, we talked a little bit then about some of these other pursuits in your life. What is your work-life game balance right now? Do you find that you have enough time for games? Too much time for games? Where do you find yourself in that?
It's I have actually quite some time to game. My work hours aren't that long, and I work shifts, so I have different shifts every day. Sometimes night shift, morning shift, evening shift, and of course I have 2 kids and a wife. In between they go to school. In between I can do some gaming, but usually not in the evening. It's usually more during the day or so.
Sure.
Strangely enough.
You've got a family. It's important to have responsibilities and be an adult and do all of those kinds of things.
Yes, I'm afraid so. But
it happens. Is there, looking back at your history in Unreal Tournament, is there some, I don't want to say like a white whale or something, but some player, some clan, an opportunity that you're like, man, I never got my chance to play against them and I really wanted to? I mean, I would imagine maybe not. You competed at the highest level, so I don't think there were that many challenges left out there for you, but who am I? What do I know?
No, it's of course a matter, I guess, of opinion or perspective. But from my perspective, when we played UT99, we were and with the ClanBase Cup against Shook, that was really the cup who was the best. And for UT 2004, we had the Cyber Professional League in Dallas in 2004, and that was 4 versus 4 UT 2004, and that for us was the who is the best of UT 2004, and then we got second. Gits, Fragmaster, I think they were SK back then. I'm not quite sure. We were Fnatic and they were SK, I think. But they were the best in that game. So for me, that was really the players to go against. And as respect with and in 1 versus 1, I never really was the best. I never considered myself the best in 1 versus 1. Maybe top 10, but especially in UT 2004, there were a lot of extra new good players. Like, for example, other Germans like Bernie and but even Killu, Hypno. So it was the competition got more fierce. In UT99 it was a little bit more limited, I guess.
Yeah.
There was less 1 versus 1 top players back then. The pool was smaller, I think.
Only because you mentioned there being a small pool, it reminds me, I wanted to ask you, and I've asked a couple of the other interviewees this question, did you have feelings or opinions about the North American scene? Because I can offer this as a humbling matter. I know early on we had some exceptional players, but the general player base in Europe was stronger than the general player base in North America. We took a lot of our strategies and our methodologies from watching your guys' gameplay, watching your guys' demos, and that's how we learned to do a lot of the things that we did here. When the game started to become less popular and people moved on to other games, a lot of our strategies kind of went out the window, and we learned from scratch how to play the game again. And it's led to a very chaotic game style, but it works for us. Looking back, what were your thoughts on North America? Did you guys have concerns about some of our players or anything like that?
Yeah, well, in 2001 you had from America you had Payne. He was actually a really good 1v1 player, so we were actually impressed by him. But we also played in the training room there some team deathmatches. But in team deathmatch, of course, it also depended on the other. I forgot who the second US player was back then, and you had I think Canadian players as well. But in team deathmatch, they were. Sorry.
Hand of Fury was probably the Canadian player at the time.
Hand of Fury. Yeah. You're right. But in team deathmatch, there was no match. We were winning big time.
Yeah.
So there was a huge skill difference. So, and we felt that we saw it, and that's what. Oh, we are much better apparently in TDM, but in 1v1 it was much closer. And also when Fatality came joining UT 2003, at first we weren't really that impressed beforehand online, but when he was on the tournament itself, we were actually all impressed with how good he was.
Yeah. I think that reflects the popularity of the game here and there. I think it was a more popular game in general in Europe. I think that you were more likely to find a random person in Europe who had heard of Unreal Tournament than you would in the United States. And so because of that, there wasn't as much community, there wasn't as much local competition and gameplay, and it became harder to skill up quickly. But once we started to get much better internet and the people who had that and could compete online, I feel like the game started to pick up for us, but it was a little too late, I think. Yeah.
Too late, too bad.
Sucks to suck. No, I think, it's just it's an interesting thing. I think about that sometimes, about how just the geography of a region and the internet capability of that geography affects the player base and how that, plays out over time. Kind of the bigger, more philosophical ideas of what goes into the success of a game or something like that.
And maybe another aspect could have been the I don't know what the home PC situation was in the US, but if you compare it to Asia, apparently over there PCs were generally quite expensive, relatively more expensive than PCs for Europeans at home. So I do know from those trips to South Korea and by talking to some journalists there and stuff, that they all went to the internet cafe. So on every street corner there was internet cyber cafes, but those PCs weren't the greatest, of course, so they were already limited to some other games. And of course, it was all about StarCraft back then.
Yeah.
And but it really influenced the whole continent, maybe, because in Asia there were barely any FPS players.
Yeah. I also think, and I'll mention StarCraft because of this and the South Korean mentality, I think there's a lot of cultural pressure about that kind of thing as well. There, if you were fantastic at StarCraft or some other video game, okay, cool, you've got a great skill, that's awesome. It's viewed much more socially acceptable. Whereas I think in the US, it has always been a bit of that's a childish, immature thing to do. Why are you wasting your time on that? And I think that's a reflection of our culture's obsession with work and producing something of value for others and that kind of thing. I think it reflects in that way. We've touched on
same for Europe, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's just how cultural norms play out in that way. We've touched on a pretty wide variety of subjects. Have I done enough to convince you to pick up the game and play at least one more time? Because if I don't, I think DVP is going to reach through the internet and choke me. I'm joking, of course, but he's very certain that he has to get you to play again. Anyway,
I'm fine with playing a few matches and install it. It's fine. I'll make that promise.
Yeah. It is an interesting opportunity, though, if for no other reason, because we keep talking about how good the ping compensation is now. It really is changing the way the game feels for a lot of people. The idea that you could comfortably play on a different continent now, whereas before you really had to give up a lot if you were going to go play in Europe or something like that, or the Europeans were going to play in North America. It was not a good situation. Now it's kind of like, yeah, your ping's high, but it's very playable, which is good. It feels good, and it makes the game feel more alive again, because there are opportunities to play in lots of different places now, whereas before, well, it's 6 p.m., nobody's online, I guess I'm not going to play this game today. It makes the game feel much more alive, which is great. I think this video series has gotten me thinking about the global community of UT a little bit more and reaching out, and I think it's having the intended effect of us getting to know some of the other players, at least getting to know me, which is a major disappointment for the Europeans because I'm not even that good. But it is an opportunity for me to meet some of these names that I've heard about for so long. I remember seeing your name in frag videos. I remember talking to some of these people and being like, oh yeah, I remember that from when I was 16 years old. That's crazy that I'm, almost 39 and I'm going to have the opportunity to talk to some of these people. It's a very strange timeline that we live in. Well, this has been fantastic. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate your willingness to engage in this conversation. I do want to give you an opportunity just to thank anybody, shout out anybody, talk about anything that you want to for just a moment or two before we kind of call this thing a wrap. I've been holding your attention for the better part of 45 minutes now, so please, the floor is yours. If there's anybody that you want to say hello to, this is your chance.
Oh, hello to my kids. No, they were very interested in this podcast, so they are going to watch it for sure. No, thanks DVP for arranging this, and yeah, it's very interesting. And also maybe to mention, I think you can learn a lot from gaming. So learn a lot from those tournaments, learn a lot from matches, learn to perform under stress. Stuff like that is something I actually really learned from the gaming. And today it's different. It's also very interesting because every boy now here is playing either Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft. So it's totally different today.
Yeah.
With loads and loads of more players, which is totally normal. It's also very interesting to me. I have two daughters, by the way. They are a little bit into gaming, but then not that much.
For sure.
My youngest, by the way, my youngest girl does have my reflexes.
Yeah, that's great.
There is like a game with those. It's called speed cups, and you have to turn around a setup of like 4 colored cups and put them in the right order or stack them in the right way. She is 9. She just became 10, and she is already 100% unbeatable by anyone, not just by me, by my other daughter, by my wife. So I think there is some genetic. Inheritance by my daughter, so, she's 3 times as fast as my other daughter, which is for me is very interesting that I see the differences. Of course they're both nice kids, but she is. It's very weird. So maybe those genes go on.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think you've wrapped us on a wholesome, sweet moment here, sharing some family details. Thank you for that, and thank you again for your generosity in sharing your time. This has been wonderful.